It has been a little while. Welcome to another vlog. Super excited to have you all along with me today. I'm going to be doing a really cool project today. Explain a little bit why I am doing vlogs rather than my normal estimates, but we're going to get into some work today. It's going to be pretty awesome. So first stop though is Home Depot. Got to pick up some materials. Doing a whole bunch of electrical work today. So I am excited about it. I will share a little bit more details as we get to it, but let's get going to Home Depot. All right, let's do this. All right, here's my catch of the day. Worked out pretty good. Kind of knew what I needed, so got it all. Okay, here's the catch of the day. Got two of these guys. I don't know if you guys have seen these, but these are like $20-something. Super good deal. And then I got some 6 remodel can lights, and then these kits that there's 4 LED trims. I got 2 of those, and then I got some wire, 4-gang box, wire strippers, which I need new ones of those, and some switches. All right, we got everything we needed here. So the RO calls for, we're installing 4 can lights in the living room, and then we're replacing those 2 LED strip lights in the bathroom. So it calls for 4 LED can lights, but since there's 6 remodel cans that come with that, I just went ahead and bought another pack of the 4-pack of LED light trims. Just thinking the client may want to go ahead and just install 6 LEDs instead of 4, so we'll see. If not, you can always return things. That's what I love about, you know, shopping at Home Depot and stuff like that, is you can just return stuff. So anyways, it's going to be a great job. Super excited for it. Heading over there now. Got about a 22-minute drive, and then we're going to get started on this project. So let's get to it. Going to bring you guys along every step of the way. Let's do it. Okay, step number 1, the most important thing about doing can lights is layout. So important. I always tell clients that this is the thing that takes the longest, is layout. And it's the most important in my mind because if they're not happy with the layout, then they're not going to be happy with the job whatsoever. So here I am using a laser distance measurer. Makes things so amazing just to measure off walls, and you don't have to, you know, fiddle around with a big old tape measure that's flopping all around. So it's pretty nice. I think the one that I have right now is I think it's a Tack Life laser distance measurer. So I just use that to match up all my measurements. Basically the same for each one. So same distance from the walls on each one. Kind of trying to find the center of a room, you know. Really just go off kind of what looks good. I always work with the client one-on-one during this part of the deal to find out what we want and where we want them. This first one, obviously, we are toying around with the idea of only putting 3 can lights, and then later in the day we decide to go with 4 and reposition them. So at the end of the day, this is what's most important, is figuring out exactly where you want these can lights, because once you cut a hole in that ceiling, you can't say you can never go back, because you can go back, but it's a whole lot harder and won't look exactly perfect when you're all done. So very important to deal with the client, make sure that you get these can lights in the exact position that you want them. See, I'm moving them. I think I moved them all maybe 2 or 3 times, and that price is all factored into the price of doing this job. Okay, we got the main layout done. So I was checking for joists and whatnot, and it was kind of inconclusive. So I wanted to come out here, take a look at the roof line. As you can see, the roof line actually comes over this back patio. So the room I'm working in is that one right there with those 3 windows. So the roof line, I'm not going to be I'm going to be about this area of the roof line. I'm not going to be down here. I'm going to be up here. So I'm going to go up in the attic, see what I can see. And I know the joists run this way, but I want to make sure because the stud finders are never perfect, you know. So they were telling me that there was kind of some weird stuff. So I just want to go up there, take a look, see what's up.
Okay. All right, let's see what we got here. So that there is the back patio. If you could see that area where there's no insulation. So we're just on the inside of that. I took measurements. So I think we're 157 from this vent going that way. Okay. You always want to be careful walking through the attic. Obviously, you only step on joists. And sometimes it's harder than you think. Okay. So, here we are. Okay. So there's our deal. Oh, so if you guys can see over there, there's actually a speaker that's in that same room, and then there's another speaker over there. So we're just this way of that speaker. But one thing that's deceiving is this looks flat, but it's actually 8 inches thick. So I'm gonna set you down there. I'm gonna hook this guy onto my joist. I don't know. Okay. Okay. That guy will give us some light here. Okay. So we gotta find our joist here. Before you step, you want to find a joist. Okay, I took some measurements from that vent, 157 inches in. So we're about right here, somewhere in this general area. So I'm going to clean out this area and just see what I find. Okay, I made a dusty in here. So this was roughly 157 inch mark. So I went ahead and I went a few joists that way and a few joists that way, cleared everything. The only obstacle is there is a board right there which houses an electrical wire, but it is 3.5 inches off of the drywall. So if we end up putting one there, we just cut that. But we know that there's no obstacles here. So the next thing I want to find is where my the next thing I want to locate is where is my wall cavity. And I know it's a certain distance from that vent over there and this way. So we're going to try to locate that. Okay, I took my measurements from that vent over 6 feet. That bat insulation was sitting on top of it, and I moved it. And as you can see, there's actually wires that go down right there. So this is some sort of dropped cavity in the kitchen. I need to go look what it is, but those are our wires that are going down to that switch plate. So we're going to need to drill a hole right down there, drop our wire down there, and make the magic happen. So let's go ahead and head back downstairs, lay our deals out permanently, and then we'll get going here.
Okay, and then the next step is I always drill a hole right in the center of my templates there, and then I shove just some Romex wire up there. Obviously, I get just one strand. Shove it up there, that way when I'm in the attic, I can find that Romex, and that kind of gives me an idea through all the insulation where my can lights need to go. So this is step one that I'll do it, and I'll explain a little bit more here once we get in the attic.
Okay, so what we got going on now is I drilled a hole in the center of each of my pucks and put some wires up there. So as you can see here, let's see if you guys can see it. There's a wire right there. There's a wire right there. Well, let's walk up to them here. So here's a wire. There's another wire up there. There's a wire. And then there's a copper wire right there. So that gives me an idea of where they're at. This is also a second time to make sure there's no obstruction. So I'm gonna go clean out all the areas all around that so that when I cut my hole, insulation does not fall down. And then also gives me a second idea to make sure there's no studs, no wires, nothing in the way before I cut, because I don't want to cause any problems. So we're gonna go ahead and clean these out. Okay, this will give you a better idea. Got that area all cleaned. Got this area all cleaned. That area and that area. So this one obviously has got a little bit more stuff, so we're just gonna kind of clean around that. So that'll be good to go. Okay, we're ready to cut our holes. Then we're gonna come up here, drop our wire down there, and run our wires to each one.
All right, and then the next step obviously is to cut our holes. For this first one, I tried holding the vacuum up there just to catch the dust, but it really was just more of a hindrance. I've tried it once before and it didn't really work, so but I thought I'd try it again, you know. But in this case, we just kind of laid some drop cloths out and went ahead and cut it. So no big deal for that one. And then we just go around and cut each one the same. Basically remove the template. Well, I traced the template, remove the template and the wire, and then cut it with my saw there. You want to cut it a little bit bigger than you think. You know, just a little bit bigger than what your traced template was. Makes it a little bit easier to put the can light in when you're all said and done.
Okay, now that we got all 4 of our holes cut, we're going to go ahead and take this box out so we can get ready to run this wire. This is that cavity space up here. So our wires come in about right here. Okay, I got my main wire ran down that hole there, coming up over here. So I'm going to give it some slack and then put it right in that hole there, and then connect all my other 4 holes. So, but I'm going to give it some slack here in case I need to pull more down or something like that.
Man, that was hard in that wire down there, drilling that hole, just because I couldn't get down in there. I couldn't sit down in there as the top of a cabinet, so didn't want to put any weight on that, so I was kind of trying to suspend myself, reach down a couple feet, drill that hole, and drop that wire, but we got it in there. So for this one, basically, we're just daisy chaining these. We're running it to the first hole, and then from the first hole to the second hole, and then from the second hole to the third hole, and the third hole to the fourth hole. So pretty simple layout once you get to it. We're going to go ahead and lay those in. I like to pinch them on the drywall just so they stay there, the wires, once I drop those down. As you can see, that first hole has 2 Romex wires in it. Just ran over to the second one, ran over to the third one, and then right now I'm going to be running from that third one over to that fourth one. So pretty simple layout. Yeah, kind of the only hiccup, I guess, is, you know, that really long reach going down to where I ran my wire. But at the end of the day, we got it, and it's turning out good.
All right, let me show you guys what I got here. So this is my power coming from the switch. Go in there, go into that first can. It piggybacks from that first can to that second can, and that can to that third can, and that can back to this can. So I got everything, the wire laid. So now I'm going to go down, put my wire up my cans, put them in the ceiling, and then wire up my switch, put my box back in, and I'll be all done. I'm going to put this bat back in place just so we're all wrapped up here. Let's see if we need to come button up any wires. So looking good.
All right, I know I got my wire pulled through that switch cavity, so that's a big one there. And what I always do here is I hook up power last. So right now, you know, that power wire that I ran to that switch is just sitting there, not hooked up, so there's no powers going to these wires. I always hook up power last. That way I know that I will not get shocked. Just anything you can do to try and prevent yourself from getting shocked. And this one here obviously is can light number 4, so it only has one wire going to it. Because that's at the end of the leg. So basically with those, you just shove all those clips up there and then come up with a flathead screwdriver and a hammer and hit those clips up there, and those basically hold on to the back of the drywall. So it's kind of a cool little way that they make these remodel cans work. This is a remodel can, obviously. One of my clips there got stuck below the drywall, so I had to do a little bit of configuring to make it kind of get back up in there. But these remodel cans are super sweet, super easy to install. Very easy. Basically all you got to do is hook up the black, white, and ground, and that's it. And then if you have 2 wires, you need to go ahead and do that. And then go ahead and install your light trim.
All right, there's your look.
Wow, that's good.
So as you can see on this next one, this is can light number 2 in the row. So there's actually 2 wires going on that. And then I'm going to go ahead and get that can installed there. It was a little bit far away from this couch here, so I couldn't really get right up to it. So I think we ended up having to move this couch a little bit out of the way. And then go ahead and put the trim up and then get started on can light number 1. That one is obviously our first one in the row, so that has the wire coming from the switch. And then the wire going to can light number 2. You know, I leave them, you know, maybe, 6 or 8 inches long coming out of the ceiling. And then, cut those wires and get them ready for installation into my can light. And obviously, like I said, blacks go to black, white goes to white. And it's really cool on these remodel cans. They have the new, I think they're called the Wacko connectors, where they're just push-in connectors rather than having wire nuts inside the junction box, which actually make it pretty easy for install. So this works out really well. I am using the ladder from Harbor Freight, so it's like a little giant equivalent from Harbor Freight. I think that thing was like 89 bucks. I like that ladder. I've had it for probably about 2 or 3 years now, and it works out really well. I've never had an issue, so it's a whole heck of a lot cheaper than the little giant one. I know that Home Depot just had that sale on that Warner one for I think $89, and it was originally like $2.99, so that was absolutely crazy. So, installing this last one, and then we'll be all done with those can lights, and we can go ahead and hook power up to them.
Okay, we're gonna go grab some lunch. Gotta put your sunglasses on. As me and Frank say, gotta stay calm, cool, and collected. Always. If you're not calm, cool, and collected, you're gonna lose your mind, because stuff's always going wrong or not going according to plan and things like that. But this job's going well. Got all 4 can lights up. The only thing left to do now is to wire in the switch. I think I underestimated a little bit how many wires there were in a 4-gang box. He's already got a 4-gang box, and there's a 3-way switch in there. And I pulled that out, running another wire. So we're putting in basically a 2, whatever you call those, a switch where there's a switch on the top and a switch on the bottom for the can lights. And it also runs an outlet in the corner. So everything's going good. Wanted to talk a little bit about why I am working this week. Frank is actually on vacation, which is well-deserved. That guy he's a monster, man. He does such an amazing job for our business. We're so pleased with him. And this week, so typically I'm the estimator. So this week I am tuning in as the technician. And then our customer relations personnel, her husband
is actually helping out and doing the estimates this week. So this is like a trial run, and if it works out this week, I'm going on vacation in October, so then he's gonna do it again. If it works out those 2 weeks, he's gonna become our full-time estimator, which will be really awesome, because that will allow me to step back from the day-to-day of the business and focus on business growth. So our next goal after that would be to hire a technician, another technician, and then either another technician or another estimator, and continue advancing from there. So that really is a blessing, because right now I've been so busy because the consulting business has just taken off. There's so many guys right now starting up handyman businesses or looking to take their business to the next level, and that's been really awesome for me, because that's a huge passion of mine, taking the knowledge and skills that I have and know, and teaching other people that. So I've really been doing a lot of that lately, and doing this transition will allow me to do that a lot more, help people out, and really with the business side of things. That's really what I'm passionate about. You know, growing a business, knowing the books, knowing the numbers, and just figuring out how to do business growth. It's exciting. I would love to hear from you guys. Who here is interested in business growth, or done business growth, or hired technicians, or hired estimators, or customer relations personnel? I would love to hear it. Some of the struggles you have, and if you ever want to reach out to me, feel free to do it. But I'm heading out to get some lunch. Then I'm going to come back, shut this guy's power off, and wire up that electrical. And obviously, I'm going to take you guys along with me every step of the way. So we're going to eat some lunch, get back to it. Okay, so I always find it easier just to shut off all the power to the house if the client is okay with that, as long as they don't have solar. It's way better than trying to find which outlet goes to which. So here, I actually labeled my wires, because there were so many wires, and then I made a little template so I knew which wires went to which switch. You know, I numbered them basically. And just to talk a little bit more about that, I found it a lot easier because there was so many wires in that 4-gang switch box. So found it easier just to label all my wires and hook them up correctly that way. So that worked out really well for me. Here we are just replacing a 4-foot LED fixture in a bathroom. There's one on that side, and then there's one actually right above the camera that we are replacing. And the client's super helpful. He worked with me pretty much all day. I love it when clients work with me, that they have that kind of, you know, that kind of deal. I mean, it's the worst when people work with you and they just ask you questions all day, or, you know, point out things that you did wrong. But this guy was super helpful, super awesome. So I appreciated that. I just appreciate the camaraderie. It kind of makes the day go by quicker and better just when you have someone to talk to, and someone who like maybe doesn't know everything that you're doing, but they, you know, kind of know a little bit about doing, you know, mechanical stuff, that they could kind of talk to you about it. So super cool guy. This is Mel. He was in the Army. He actually got drafted, but really cool guy. Super sweet guy. Talking to him, loves sports. So this was a fun job. So replacing this 4-foot fixture, it was a fluorescent fixture where the ballast was bad. And nowadays, I mean, it used to be more cost effective just to replace the ballast, but now you can just replace the whole fixture with an LED fixture for like so cheap. Like these fixtures are like 20 something bucks at Home Depot, and they're LED. They say they last for 20. Like I think right now LEDs last for like 27.5 years or something. They used to say they last forever, but now it's like 27.5 years. So
Let's go ahead and turn that switch on.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, huh?
Much nicer. Okay, so job 1 was these 4 can lights, and we went ahead and put in an over-under switch. So the top switch runs our can lights, and then the bottom switch runs that lamp in the corner, which is run off of an outlet. And then we went over here to the dining room and replaced this pendant light. And then we went back here and we installed this ceiling fan, replaced it, and we put in just a regular on-off switch because it had this switch that wasn't working quite right. And then in the master, we replaced 2 4-foot LED fixtures here and there. The ballasts were bad on that one, and that one was not working at all. And now they got LED fixtures.
Wow.
Woo!
what an awesome job that was. That turned out amazing. That was such a fun job. Such a great guy to work with. It was super cool hearing his story, and that was excellent. It was so cool, man. I just looked at the deal. So we talked about, he's like, you want to be paid with credit card or check? And I'm like, well, you know, either way works great, but with the credit card, the bank charges 3% fee. So he says, well, how about if I just give you a check and I'll give you 3% extra, you know, just as like a whatever you call it, a tip. And I'm like, well, that'd be great. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna argue with you there. But then when I was walking out, he gave me a wad of cash and he says, hey man, here's another tip. I really appreciate the work you did. I just looked at it as $100. $100 cash. So he's like, take your wife out for dinner. So that is excellent. What a great guy, man. He was so willing to help. Had a great story. Served in the Army. Thanked him for his service. Super great guy. That's what I love about this stuff, man. The people we get to work for, the things we get to do, and then, man, seeing that family room after I did the lights was just like, man, such a difference, you know, because before we did the lights, it was super dark in there. Super dark. All they had was that little ceiling fan with the worst light I've ever seen. But that was fun. So, yeah, that's it for today. We did quite a bit there at that house. Leave me a comment with your questions. Would love to hear them. And if you're interested at all in talking about coaching or business growth or anything like that, send me an email, handymanjourney@gmail.com. Would love to chat with you. But we'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for tuning in on this vlog.